Are you continuously trying to promote your music, only to find that it's not working? All of the tips you're using are failing drastically. Well, there's a reason for this. Let me tell you what that is. Your music must be good. Surely you know that already. Surely your music is good. Otherwise you wouldn't be wasting your time watching these videos. So you've got good music, but then how are you going about promoting it? Are you following music marketing tips and just finding that they're failing drastically? Well, you're not alone. There are music marketing advice blogs, there are YouTube channels, there are podcasts, there are even agencies that do it for you. And so many artists just, it's not working for. How many of you have even tried our tips at Burst Demo? You followed our tips from YouTube, you followed our tips from the podcast, from Instagram, and you found that they haven't worked for you. You're not alone on that. We receive countless DMs from people saying that the tips we're giving haven't worked for them. But there is a reason for this. These tips do work. All of the advice we give, we're doing daily for our artists. And it's resulted in artists getting signed to major labels, getting millions of streams, getting brand collaborations with some of the largest brands in the world, increasing their followings to hundreds of thousands, running ad campaigns that are reaching hundreds of thousands. We've got the results. So we know the tips we're giving are going to work for you. But if they're not, then there's a reason for this. And I'm going to explain that in today's video. I'm going to explain to you why music marketing, music promotion hasn't worked for your music. Because the scary truth is, music promotion doesn't work for everyone. And the main reason for that is something I'm going to explain right at the end of this video. It's a pretty controversial thing to say. A lot of artists are going to be a bit annoyed at it, but make sure you stick around at the end because it's the brutal truth. And if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to smash that subscribe button, hit that like button too if you enjoy this video. Join the community because we want to help as many artists as we possibly can. So back to it. Music marketing. We all know what it's about. It's about getting your music and pushing it out to a wider audience. But how many of you are doing that? You're trying to get your music on blogs, you're trying to get your music played on radio, get it in playlists, and your audience just isn't growing. Well, let's outline why these things aren't working for you, why your audience may not be growing at the rate you want it to, your streams may not be growing. There are tons of things that actually are impacting that, and I'm going to discuss all of that today. To begin with, let's discuss what's involved in a full marketing campaign for an artist. And this is all things that you can be doing yourself. They're all things that we've taught our audience, so you can make sure to learn all of this by going to our YouTube channel and checking out our older videos. And within a full marketing campaign, we would suggest an artist is focusing on online promotion, which is getting your music placed in blogs, radio plugging, which is getting your track placed on radio, content creation, which is building content to push out to your audience and your target audience, streaming promotion, which is getting those streams up. And if you have an ad budget, there's also an ad campaign, which we would highly suggest all artists doing if you do have that spare change. So those are the main part of a marketing campaign for any artist if they want to grow their audience, they want this release to be their best release to date. All of you probably know this already. You probably understand the basics of all of these areas, especially if you watch our videos, because we really hope we've taught you all of those things. But if you're doing all of these things, why is it not working? Well, let's break down all of those different areas and discuss why each area may not be getting you the results that you want to. So online promotion, let's start with that. Let's start with getting your track placed on blogs, getting your music reviewed, getting interviews online, because that can really help an artist. However, a lot of you are treating blogs as a way to increase listeners, but that's not what they're used for anymore. In the past, people did discover music by blogs, but now not so many people do. They're not sat reading blogs all day, every day. The readership has gone down quite a bit. So if you get a feature in NME, Line of Best Fit, Complex, Clash, it won't mean that your listeners rocket up. It instead acts as credibility. So a lot of you, that might be part of the reason that you're not getting those results, because you get one blog feature and you think you can sit back and you've made it. We've had artists placed in Complex, Hot New Hip Hop, Clash, Line of Best Fit, and that doesn't mean that suddenly that artist is going to get signed, suddenly that artist is going to go viral. We use it to act as a springboard. These blogs act as credibility. If you've been featured in a very established blog, then that can be put on your musical CV. It's like going to a job interview. If you go to a job interview to work in marketing and you've worked at tons of different marketing agencies, you've got experience in loads of different areas of marketing, they're going to be impressed. But if you came to them and just said, give me a job, and you've got no experience whatsoever, they're less likely to. This is exactly the same for musicians. If you go to a Spotify editor and say, I've been featured here, here, and here, they're going to take more interest in you because it shows that you've got that credibility. It shows that there is some attention there. And this industry is full of sheep. Everyone wants to know that you've sort of got the attention already. They don't want to be the first one to discover you in case it doesn't go well. So that's the main thing you're going to want to be focusing on. You want to focus on the fact that getting a blog feature doesn't mean you've made it. It doesn't mean that that's the end of your campaign and you can sit back and relax. That means that's the starting point. That means your music is good, and it means you can use it to get features in other areas, get radio play, get Spotify playlists. Just prove that you are a legit artist that people should take seriously. Also, those logos from those blogs can be used to your advantage. Yes, it's going to help with playlists and radio play and all other things like that, but it's going to help when you're running ads on social media, because people will stop scrolling if they see a large logo they know. Some of you might be sitting here thinking, Maddie, I'm not even getting blog features. And if that's the case, then that's because most probably your press release isn't written very well. And I've done a full video explaining how to write a press release, and I've also done another video titled How to Get Your Music on Major Blogs. So I'll make sure to link both of those below, and that teaches you how to write a press release and also how to pitch to these editors. Honestly, it's worth the time, and getting those blog features, as I said, acts as credibility. So that's one area of your music marketing campaign, and if you're treating it as credibility, treating it as a springboard, then you'll definitely see more success. Next up is radio plugging. A lot of you probably do struggle with radio plugging because getting a radio plugger, very expensive. They spent years getting these contacts. However, it is doable. As an emerging artist, as someone that doesn't have the money to spend on a radio plugger, it's definitely doable. But again, some of you probably are failing at it. The reason for this is probably the song, rude, not a radio edit, too long. That's all about the music. You can sort that quite quickly. And the final thing is you're not building a portfolio of plays. Every artist in the world wants to be played on national radio. We have so many artists approach us saying, I want to be played on Radio 1. And we say, okay, cool. What have you been played on before? And they'll say, oh no, I've never had radio play before. You're never going to get played on Radio 1 if you've had no previous plays on any other radio station and no one's giving you any attention. So you need to start building that portfolio of plays on those lower level stations before you can go to those major ones. And this is the same with all of your marketing campaigns. You can't just jump straight to the end. You can't look at these major artists and see that they're getting featured in national newspapers or national radio or in major Spotify playlists like New Music Friday and expect to get those, or just only aim for those. You want to start small and develop from there. I've also done a full video on how to get your music placed on radio stations, and I'll make sure to link that one below too. I'm going to be linking quite a few videos below on this one, I think, because I'm going to be talking about why some of your techniques might be failing, but I've also taught the basics in a lot of other videos. But make sure to stick around for the end of this one, where I give that little tip as to why so many music marketing campaigns are actually failing. Next up, streaming promotion. This is a main focus for so many artists because obviously streams, that's the way that people are listening to music now. They're not buying physical CDs, they're not buying albums at all, even on iTunes. People are streaming. But with 40,000 tracks being uploaded to Spotify a day, it's very competitive. However, there are some things you can be doing to make sure that the Spotify editors and the other editors are paying attention to your music. For one, those blogs that I mentioned earlier, they act as credibility. So make sure you're putting that in your Spotify for Artists submission form. For those who don't know, Spotify for Artists have this new feature, which means that you can submit to Spotify's editors prior to your release. One of the main reasons that a lot of artists aren't getting placed on Spotify editorial playlists is because they're not filling in that form in very much detail or at all. So make sure to spend as much time as you possibly can on this. But also make sure you go niche. Don't just tick every single box, because there are only 100 editors across the globe. And if you're ticking all of them, they're going to be sent to people that don't like that style. It doesn't fit their playlists. Go niche and you're a lot more likely to be featured on the playlist that you want to be. Some of you might still be feeling that you're never going to get an editorial playlist, and that is not true in the slightest. We've had artists placed on editorial playlists even on their debut release. However, it's very unlikely to be playlisted on a debut. So we would always suggest going out to those user-curated and branded playlists if you're struggling to get on those editorial ones first. And you can do this simply by searching and messaging those people that own the playlist, or you can use something like Submit Hub. Just make sure they are legit streams, because if you're getting fake streams, if you've got bots running through these playlists, it will harm the algorithm massively. It will mean that your music isn't reaching people, isn't getting those organic streams. And at the end of the day, streams are just numbers if they're not an engaged audience. That's one thing we're seeing repeatedly at the moment. People are coming to us and saying, oh, I've got 1 million streams. Why am I not being played on Radio 1? Why am I not being able to sell out loads of tickets to my next gig? And the reason for this is because A, they may not be real, but B, streams do not count as fans. How many of you have listened to a playlist in full, or maybe even accidentally left something on and it's played on repeat? That doesn't mean that you're a massive fan of that artist or a massive fan of all of those artists on the playlist. It means you're a fan of the playlist, or you just listened casually. That does not make you a dedicated fan. There are so many artists that I listen to, maybe even weekly, but I don't engage with them as a fan. I don't go to their gigs. I don't even follow them on social media. And that's the main thing here. You need to catch people in this catch net, which is usually social media. But so many of you are struggling with this. We understand how hard it is as an artist to be creating content so often for social media. You're a musician. That is where your talent lies. You are incredibly talented at making music, producing music, releasing music, but you're not a natural content creator. However, in this digital era, you need to focus on that content because that's how you engage with your fans now. That fourth wall that used to be up is now broken. People expect to be able to engage with their favorite artists. They expect to be able to have a conversation. And that's where social media comes into play. So a lot of you are probably struggling with what content to post, how often to post, and also why is your engagement not growing? Why is your following not growing? Well, there are many reasons for this. The main one is that artists don't follow a consistent theme. An example that I use quite a bit is, say you followed a football account and you followed it because you enjoy football, they do really cool tricks on there, maybe they even tell you football news. And then randomly, they start posting about puppies. You would not be interested. You might like puppies, but because they've posted it and you were expecting football, you're not interested. You might even unfollow. And this is the same with artists. If they don't have a consistent theme, people either unfollow or don't engage. So find what your theme is, whether this is documenting your journey, telling people what's happening throughout your music career, documenting the behind the scenes. Or perhaps you're a really funny person and you're just entertaining your audience. Or you love doing covers and you're just performing covers every single day. Choose what your theme is and then create content surrounding that. It's easy to fall into the trap of, I'm releasing music, listen. Because you've spent so much time making this music, you expect people to want to listen. But if they don't know you, that's not adding any value to their life. They want the behind the scenes. They want to feel like they've got some sort of relationship with you before jumping straight in. Alongside having this theme, you also need to focus on actually engaging with that audience, because posting once a day and then not engaging with them won't actually see the results as much as replying to every single comment, replying to every single DM, and only posting once a week. Have that high quality content as much as you possibly can. And if that's only once a week, that's fine. But if it's every single day, that's fantastic. Engagement is key. So engaging with that audience is going to be what increases the engagement. So replying to comments, going into the DMs and speaking to your followers and turning them into lifelong fans. And also interacting on stories. Stories are so spontaneous, they're so personal. There are so many features that you can use, which will mean that you're increasing your engagement. Interacting with your audience on such a personal level that they're taken from a casual listener to a follower to a lifelong fan. As I mentioned at the beginning, if you do have a budget, I would highly suggest spending on ads. Due to changes in the algorithm on both Facebook and Instagram, the organic reach is dropping. You can't get angry at this, it's a free platform. Fantastic that's even there for artists to use. However, it is dropping, so spending on ads is definitely worth the time and the money. Alex has done a full video on how to actually create and manage ads, which I'll make sure to link below. But once you've done all that, you know how to do it, there are a few things that artists are still doing wrong because they're not seeing the results and they're still coming to us saying it doesn't work. It does work, I promise you. We've run ad campaigns before which have generated hundreds of thousands of people engaging with a music video. So the majority of you will be running an ad and you might say that it's not getting any engagement. The reason for this is usually because the content isn't good, the target audience isn't right, or you're not retargeting. So let's start with the content isn't good. Most of the time, the content that artists put out is put out with the aim to sell music. This will not get engagement. Getting someone to go from Facebook or Instagram to Spotify or YouTube is incredibly difficult. In a recent study, it was found that it takes 7 ads for someone to actually engage with that brand. And I think this is exactly the same for artists. Artists are a brand. And if you're constantly trying to sell to an audience and they don't know who you are, they won't engage. So firstly, that content, it needs to be something that's adding value. So this could be humor, you could be making a meme, or it could be something really niche to them. So if they're from Cambridge, you could say, are you from Cambridge? We've got a gig near you. Something that's really niche to the audience. And then again, that audience needs to be correct as well. You can't just target people that like music in general. Go niche. And finally, you need to retarget. As I said 7 times, you have to hit someone before they actually engage with it. So if you're not retargeting, people aren't going to engage. Taking someone to stream a track or watch a music video, that's what, 4 minutes of their time? And if they're scrolling mindlessly through a social media platform, they're not going to be thinking about streaming a song. You need to hit them with your face, your logo, your colors, whatever it is, multiple times. So we describe it as a funnel. This top level of the funnel is just raising awareness. So this is the part that needs to add value. From here, you can probably be a bit more salesy, but don't go in for the kill just yet. You can do a few of these, and then right at the bottom of the funnel where people are fully engaged with all of those ads, that's when you can go in for the kill. That's when you can go in with stream my song, watch my music video, buy my merch. And what's fantastic about that is you've got that audience saved through your Facebook ad manager. So you can then reuse that. You can hit them with another ad in 6 months' time saying that you've got a gig, or you might have merchandise out, or you might have a new track. It's similar to having that mailing list. You've got all of those people saved in a database. I mentioned at the beginning of this video that I was going to end on something that was the brutal truth. It's the truth about why so many musicians are failing with their marketing. And the main reason for this is because the music isn't good enough and they haven't been consistent with it. Being patient is key. If you look at how many artists are signed, how many artists are charting, it's such a small percentage. And even still, those artists have been working for years. Those artists that have made history, released and released and released and put out content and engaged with their audience and played live, they did it for years. And their music was incredible. So the brutal truth behind music marketing is your music needs to be phenomenal, but you need to be phenomenal as much as you possibly can. You need to release amazing music as much as you can. Put as much content out on social media. Engage with that audience as much as you can. That's why music marketing doesn't work for so many artists, because their music isn't up there with the best, or they haven't even attempted to release that much. Releasing 5, 6, 10, even 20 tracks doesn't mean you're going to blow up. It can take years, it can take hundreds of releases, but once you get there, you don't look back and think, oh God, I wish I hadn't released that many songs, or I wish I hadn't wasted that much time posting on social media. When you are successful, you will be thankful for every move you did. I hope you found this video useful, and I hope that these tips will mean that your next marketing campaign, or your marketing campaign you're currently doing, can turn around a little bit and you get the results you want. If you have any questions, make sure to comment below and we will answer every single one of them. And if you've enjoyed this video, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on that bell so you're notified when we upload. And we'll see you soon with another video with more music marketing advice.
Your lips were made for mine. I want you to come closer. You are one of a kind. You got me going sober. I might not ever find someone like you in forever.